Good morning, everybody. Got your coffee? I got mine. Rest. Don't let yourself be gaslit. Now is not the time. Now is the time for us to take time out for ourselves, our family, our loved ones, and our communities. Hyper focus on that, okay? And let everybody else figure out their mess. Speaking of which, don't look to me to exclude you. That's your work. When we're having conversations, and if you don't know by now, not just with me, but with anyone, that they don't mean all men or all black women or all people who live in the South or all people in South Carolina or all people in Nebraska or all white people or all brown people. Don't look for me to exclude you. As a black woman, let me tell you something. All day, every day, I see the worst things said and the worst things done to black women. And you know what I do as a black woman? I exclude myself from those conversations because I know they couldn't possibly be talking about this phenomenal black ass woman. So why would I make myself inclusive in that conversation when I know that I'm not the one being addressed here? Not only that, but they're entitled to feel however they want to feel about black women. What does that have to do with me? I'm not trying to change anybody's mind on that. Feel your feelings. Some of you all really do need to develop thicker skin if you're going to be in these conversations. And not only that, but I don't really mean to call anybody stupid here, but sometimes you just got to call a thing a thing. If you're not smart enough to know step one, we don't mean everybody, then you probably aren't smart enough for these conversations. And I stand 10 toes deep on that. With that being said, I want to say thank you so much to Stephanie for sponsoring this morning's cup of coffee. And I want to say thank you to Vita. Thank you so much. You have been here before, love, and I appreciate you. And Krista, same thing. You have been here before, love, and no matter what I do, you're always supportive of it. Thank you so much. And Garrett, I just love you. I do. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies, for giving me the room and the motivation and the support that I need to do what I do every single day for my community and for my people. Thank you. I want to say trigger warning because I want to have a conversation that we have had before, but I want to go a little bit deeper now that I see that more black women are receptive to it. Like I said, a few years ago, I tried to have this conversation and I got a lot of pushback from black women. And my grandmother, she used to have this saying. She used to say, guilty always speaks first. And she didn't know it, but basically what she was describing in a nutshell is projection. That's projection. A form of projection is also when you need for somebody to say not all. It's projection. A lot of that is, people don't want to feel guilty. People don't want to feel like they're part, of something that might not be favorable. Guilty always speaks first. My grandmama told me that when I was a teenager. And that's how I could literally always tell when one of my sons was lying to me. Who did this? It wasn't me. It's usually that one that speak up and say it wasn't him. Guilty always speaks first. It comes from someplace within us. And so when I talk about a specific subject matter and then you all try to not be a part of what's being said, when literally all you have to do in order to do that is to just not say anything. And then you just start regurgitating in my comment section because of the guilt. And I challenge you to push past that uncomfortableness the same way when I challenge white people to push past, when we talk about racism, to push past that. Feel why it is you are uncomfortable with what is being said. Unpack it and deal with it. Deal with it. This is also a trigger for me too, because as you all know, a lot of you know the relationship I have with my own mother and her first husband and what happened there in the home. There's a story out of Detroit, Michigan about a Detroit police officer. Isn't that funny? Remember when I told you that other story about that guy that I was dating and that niece that he said when he was 16 and she was 9, She gave him oral, and I told, even though it was years and years and years ago. I don't know what made him think that it was okay for him to tell me that, but I told on him. But this guy, another Detroit police officer, and we heard about that white one, what he did to that newborn. That white police officer, we heard about that. But this police officer married this woman. They were newlyweds. He wasted no time at all trying to get in the pants of her child, her daughter. Daughter told the father, and the parents worked together to get this man fired and arrested. Now, the only thing I'm going to say about that is that what strikes me as odd was the fact that she didn't go to her mother who was in the home. She went to her father instead. But I don't know. I don't know. I oftentimes find myself wondering what would have happened had I had the gumption to tell my mother when he was still in the house. And it always makes me so sad because I actually know the answer to that question. It's not a hard one to figure out. She would have chose that man over me. She would have. And the emotional and mental harm that she did to me would have been so much greater had she been forced, because I know how her brothers and sisters and mother were. I know they would have shamed her into putting him out of the house. They would have done that. But she would have taken that out on me into degrees worse than what she did when this man was already out of the house and had left her for another woman. This man, they were divorced when I told her. He had left her for another woman, child. Moved the other woman across the street from my mother's mother. She had to watch that play out. She knew what this man was capable of, but she still blamed me for it. She still did. This Detroit police officer, if you read the text messages, those of you in Michigan, you know this story because it's all over Michigan. And it's all over TikTok too. But it's the fact that men like this, it really don't be y'all they be wanting. It be your kids. And I have said it before, and I will say it again. And it's just the truth. Feel your feelings. It is just a small degree of me. There's just a small degree of white people who are not racist. It is just a small degree of men who have the capacity to nurture another man's seed. Listen to what I just said. Not many men are capable of nurturing another man's child. And because of that, you as a woman, the protector of your child, have to be ever mindful of that shit. You have to go through your daughter's phones, through your son's phones. You have to talk to them about if that man has ever done or said anything that made them feel uncomfortable. And it is your job to have these conversations with your kids before you bring that man into your child's safe space, which is their home. You need to make it abundantly, beyond a shadow of a doubt, clear to your child, as it is your responsibility to do so, that they can come to you at any time and tell you anything that makes them feel uncomfortable. Because I can tell you, the first time that my mother's ex-husband molested me, there were so many bells and whistles going off inside of me. And I tried to talk myself out of what was happening to me. Like, no, because it started with the inappropriate touch. And I said, no, he couldn't have done this. Now, mind you, I still didn't know that this man was not my father. I was told that that man was my father up until I was 12 years old, when my mother got upset during divorce proceedings and let it come out in the worst possible way. But I'm glad that it came out, and I wish I had have known it like for my whole childhood. It would have explained a lot to me about why he treated his son the way he did and the way he treated me. I know I'm projecting here. I'm aware. But I have this lived experience, and I want to give you all the benefit of this lived experience. So your child, even if your child, it doesn't register that something is wrong mentally, spiritually, emotionally, your kid is going to know. There were times when my warning bells went off before he even had that initial inappropriate first contact with me. I always kind of knew it was something. I mean, the beatings itself should have been a warning to both she and I. But again, I was a child. She was the adult. It was her job, not mine. And to this day, this woman is too big of a coward to own that shit. She fucked up. And I could have forgiven her for fucking up. But what I can't forgive her is for not owning that she fucked up and then making that shit my fault. So you all, not only do you run the risk when you bring these men into your house of your children being harmed, but you run the risk of fucking it up and then not having access to your child, as I haven't spoke to my mother in 15 years. And if she died tomorrow, I wouldn't go to her funeral. And that's just how I feel about it. Now, I'm going to say something even harder. And y'all might not like it because a lot of y'all are in this situation. I'm a woman. I understand that sometimes, although it shouldn't be, this is life, and we talking the real of it. Sometimes women can feel like a man is the answer to her problems. You out here and you're struggling. You need help. You need assistance. And you need love, because ain't nobody loving you. No one's loving you the right way, not even you, which is why you can't see these men coming. That's why you can't see them coming. Because your self-esteem is so far down deep in the mud. And before you work on any man in any relationship, you need to be working on that shit first. Because I tell you, you will get to a point where when you love yourself, when you really love yourself, anybody that means you harm, you will see them from a mile away. I'm trying to tell you, I am living proof. People get upset with me because I see their true natures. Because I will not let them take advantage of me. Because I know how to advocate for myself. Because I don't have a problem saying that I think you might be a harmful person and I'm going to let you go. I have no issues. And again, therapy. Go to therapy. We say that these men need it, and they do. Because a lot of these black men are very self-hating. And a lot of harm is birthed from that self-hate. They do us a lot of harm. They do these kids a lot of harm. But y'all are self-harming too, because y'all not going to therapy. And y'all self-esteem. Y'all let these men who don't have nothing. And God forbid if they do have a decent paycheck, what you're willing to do for that. Security and that pension and that 401k. But what you can't be doing is sacrificing your kids for a man. What I really wanted to say here is, it is my opinion that if you are going to be a baby mama and you're going to set yourself up for that, and this is me talking, and I'm saying this out of love. I swear it ain't no judgment. If you're going to let yourself be a baby mama, you need to take your dating someplace else, away from your child. Be woman enough to protect your child in that way. If you love him enough to marry him, and if he loves you enough to marry you, then he'll wait until your kids is out of that house. Or at the very least, until they old enough, way old enough, to be able to understand the right and the wrong of all of this kind of a thing. And they can communicate to you, and they can advocate for themselves. And even then, you're still having these conversations about inappropriate touch, what should and what shouldn't be said. This man was going to get this girl a second phone so that he could have full access to her. He was going to do the same thing to her as a police officer with a gun and a badge. And when people see police officers, a lot of them see trust. Not me, but a lot of people see trust. He was going to do the same thing to her as that Pookie guy did. Remember that video we was talking about? The other guy in Detroit? In the house with 13 kids, got the girl pregnant, ended up murdering her. We still don't know where that girl's body is. But he's sitting in jail right now. Ain't no difference between one and the other. They both Pookies. As a woman, as a mother, it is your job to protect your kids. And if you're going to make yourself a baby mama, that's the sacrifice, baby. Sorry, I'm just saying it as an auntie. That's the sacrifice that you need to make. That's what I really think. I think you need to take your dating elsewhere. I did. And I was dating in the 90s. It's 2025. That's not your kid's business. And your kids ain't his business. The stakes are too high. If we're going to break generational curses, stop childhood trauma, the best person to do that in the Black community is Black women, y'all. It is. We have to stop being broken as Black women. We have to fix whatever is going on inside of us so that we can create better Black men. Black men who honor Black children. Black men who honor Black women. Black men who honor us. And I'm not saying that it is our fault. I'm not. A lot of these Black men, we just gonna have to let go. And we're gonna have to start from scratch with these little boys we having. But we have to be safe for our kids. We do. And if we gonna be babies' mamas, that's the sacrifice that we have to make. Y'all got to keep these men away from your kids because they can't be trusted. We can't say we'd rather pick the bear and then put the man in the space with our kids when we know the kind of harm that a man can do. I literally carry a firearm on my person, not because of women. I do that because of men. I know how dangerous they are, how dangerous they can be with words and with actions. They can be very violent and very cruel. And when there are children in the house, hell, these men are jealous of you. What you think they feel about your kids? When you put your kids first, what do you think? And there are a lot of men that think that. They come into your home and they think they're supposed to be the authority. Over your children and you. You are the authority over your children. Don't never give a man that ain't your child's father any kind of authority over your children. I have a cousin that married a man she wouldn't leave her child with. She married this man, but she wouldn't leave her child alone with him. I mean, at least she had that much sense, but why marry him? If this is you, go to therapy and work on whatever in your head that's got you fucked up like that to that degree. No man should be hollering at your kids. No man should be beating on your kids. No man should be going off alone with your kids. No man should be left alone in the house with your kids. Take that dating shit outside the house. When you not with the father no more, it's over. And some of the fathers you can't trust. It's the reason y'all choosing the bear. Move like it. We got to stop serving our kids and our community up to these men. These violent, predatory men. And these days, the boys ain't no damn safer than the girls. Because they messing with the boys too. Why do you think so many of these black men are broken? If the girls can barely get it out and tell us what's happening to them or what didn't happen to them, how do you think the boys are managing that? They're not. They're keeping it. They're keeping that shit buried so deep inside of them. And then we wonder why they're violent like they are. The black woman is the guardian of the black community. And we can't ride that fence. We either for our kids or we are against our kids. It ain't no in between in that shit. A hard conversation, I know, but it's necessary. And I really hope I gave you something to think about. Because this is our kids. We got to bring up better boys and we got to bring up better women. And we got to start breaking these cycles and curses somewhere. Somebody got to be first. And I can tell you, even if you ain't in time enough to save your own kids, be in time enough to save your grandkids and their kids. It is never too late to break these curses and cycles. We will have whole generations gone from us in one way or another if we don't deal with this issue. I'm glad that child was not harmed other than a few skanky ass messages. I'm glad that she had parents that stepped up and protected her. I'm glad she had one parent that she felt like she could tell immediately. They took immediate action, as they should. And this child is safe. Is your child safe? I'm going to let y'all go with that. Y'all have a good day. Be righteous. Do something nice for someone. You'll feel better. And if you would like to support the platform, I will leave my Cash App, my Venmo, and my P.O. Box down in the comments, and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. This was with love. Y'all have a good day.